Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm doing another 8th of Degree, and this time we're going to start tackling the huge back catalogue of romance I have read in the 2 years I've been away. So we are first going to be looking at paranormal romance today, but I do have way more videos coming out for you that's going to be looking at dark romance, contemporary, historical, you name it, we're going to talk about it. I'm going to do a sports romance video. Who even am I? So like I said, today is focusing on paranormal romance. I'm really sorry I don't have most of the authors today, but everything is in the description box down below. I'm just being a terrible human being. And all of these I believe are available either on Kindle Unlimited or available incredibly cheap on Kindle, because that's how I read romance. So this is going to be a nightmare to edit in all these book covers, but hey ho, that's future Emma's problem. The first series I want to talk about is the Souls Trilogy by Harley Roux. We first have Her Soul to Take and then Her Soul for Revenge. The last one in the trilogy is coming out in like 4 days time at time of filming, and I cannot wait. These books are basically a small town, a girl comes back where her family are based from. They've moved away for a while and her family were quite a big name in the town's origins. There is a creepy myth connected to a mine, an abandoned mine, and some kind of old god who wants to come back and get retribution. There's a powerful family that seem to be targeting her, and there seems to be a demon on her tracks. Naturally, she's going to fall in love and have a very smouldering sexy romance with the demon, and it's incredibly good fun. The trilogy then continues from there. We get a different couple in each book, as is always classic, and it is currently a human girl and then a demonic man is the sort of pairings. To warn you, for content warning, most of these books are going to be fairly heavy on the smut, but I think this one might be the most hardcore. We're starting with a bang, pun not intended. Harley Roux writes utter filth. So if you're one of these people who likes to fade to black, do not touch these books. But if you're someone who likes to have a little bit of like con non-con, a little bit of BDSM stuff going on in your books, and you want something that's airing definitely more on the side of kinky, Harley Roux is your girl. The characters and the world building are actually fantastic. I genuinely think these books would stand on their own if you removed all the smut, which is not often the case for really filthy books out there. So she's a powerhouse. This is a fantastic series, and I cannot wait for the finale in a couple of weeks' time. The next book I want to talk about is Shelter for a Shifter. This is actually, I think, book 13 or something in this series, but I have not read any of the other books from this world or from this author. I just jumped in with this one, and I think it functions perfectly fine as a standalone. It is about a werewolf and then I think a witch pairing, but what's quite fun is the werewolf has actually been trapped in a cat's body and the witch needs to break the curse. So it was quite cute having like a shifter who's also then trapped in a completely different body that is nowhere near as powerful. I really liked their dynamic when they were cat and person, and then when they break the spell, that was very cool as well. The ending of it really pulls into a bit more of an overarching plot where there's a lot of characters, which I'm sure if you'd read all the books from the beginning you'd be like, oh my god, it's those guys again, and that kind of went over my head, but I don't think it detracted from the actual storyline, and I just really liked their dynamic. I thought they were a really cute couple, and I am intending to go back and read more from this series. I just think I'm going to bounce around a little bit and kind of pick the couples that sound the most fun. On a bit of a different vibe and with more intense world building than some of the others is the Gilded series. This is about a tattoo artist who is able to tattoo magic and use magic ink, and then ends up being pulled into like a parallel universe that's more of like a traditional high fantasy world and gets sucked into all sorts of problems there. The world building magic system are hella fun. As somebody who has a lot of ink, even more on the legs, I really enjoyed this as a magic system. I thought it was so cool how they played around with using the idea of like iconography and sigils and things, and then also using the materials of the ink. They have to go and travel for some ingredients. I liked the dynamic. I've read the first two. I don't know if the third book is out yet. I do intend to read it, and I don't remember this book being particularly filthy, so if you're a fan of it, I don't think it's a full fade to black, but I think if you're a fan of stuff that isn't quite as raunchy, this one might be a better book for you. I'm really sorry if that's them wrong. An author who is so much fun for like cozy paranormal romance is Juliette Cross. She has a whole like witches series which follows a family of sisters, and like each book is focused on a different sister. The first book is about a werewolf who is in a lot of trouble and tries to come to the sister for help basically, and then it kind of continues from there. I really like the world building. I think that the way that they play around kind of cozy paranormal romance is fun. It's kind of like a small town romance, but it just so happens that half the people are like witches and werewolves and demons, and there's a weird version of a demon that they have. It's like a siphon or something. Can't even remember the name of it. It's generally really cool. I've given, I think, the first 4 or 5 out of the series like a solid 4 or 5 out of stars, but then the last one really kind of fell off an edge for me and didn't particularly work. But up until that point, very good fun. And again, a weird combination of like cozy cute romance that then becomes utter filth the second they get into the bedroom. So, or indeed for many of the characters, never the bedroom. Lots of wildly public places, lots of like work bathrooms and dark alleyways and cars and haunted houses. So if you are a fan of a little bit of raunch, this is again a really good shout for you. We're gonna kick it a little bit old school now and talk about Moonglow by Kristen Callihan. This book has been out for years. It's part of the Darkest London series. It's book 2, and it is a historical paranormal romance set in, I think, the Victorian era. Yes, it is. Yes, it's the Victorian era, and it is about a guy who is a werewolf who has kind of shunned his title, and then a woman who has recently managed to flee an abusive relationship, and it's them coming together to try and solve a bunch of murders, and the way that they end up working together. It's really, really good fun. It's, like I said, it's book 2 in a series. It does reference some of the events from book 1, which I haven't read yet, but it definitely didn't take away from the storyline, and it's a proper real classic, like bodice ripper style historical paranormal romance, which I don't read enough of the combination of historical and paranormal together. So much fun. Again, really enjoyed the pack dynamic, really enjoyed her magic, and she doesn't know that she's a witch, so she kind of finds that as she goes along. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And apparently the Darkest London series goes on for like 7 or 8 books, and I do intend to actually read a good number of them. I've got the first one and then the next 2 on my Kindle, and they're definitely high priority reads for me. It's very elemental magic is what they're playing with here as well, which is always good fun. One that everybody is talking about, but I genuinely think is worth a read, is Ice Planet Barbarians. I guess technically this is like sci-fi romance rather than paranormal because they are aliens, but I'm down with that. It's really fun. Spaceship crash lands on a random planet. Woman decides to trek off into the sort of icy wastelands of where they are to try and find help. Bumps into a barbarian who kind of imprints on her in some kind of way. There's a very like breeder element to this where they have a desperate desire to impregnate their women. So if that is your thing, this book series has you covered, because oh my god, talking about baby making 24/7. It's about their ways of trying to communicate together, trying to rescue the other women, because obviously they don't share a language, they're from completely different planets, and then how the women end up integrating into the society of the aliens here. This series continues from there. It does a classic focusing on a different woman and one of the barbarians in each one of the books, so you get to see kind of the pairings as they go along, but previous couples do feature as they go. I've read, I think, the first 3 or 4. They're the kind of series that like is a slam dunk on each one. They're really good fun, but they are quite similar, so I find it works best if you like dip in, read a couple and then give yourself a break. I do intend to come back to it. There's like 60 of these guys, so if this is your thing, totally go for it, but they can get a little bit samey for me. But yeah, really entertaining, really interesting take on the sci-fi genre, and I had a good time. Also filth, complete filth. Quite samey filth, but still filth. One that's a little bit cuter as such is the Ex Hex. I believe that this was quite popular a couple of years ago, and this is about a woman who accidentally hexes her ex, which is very hard to say, and then he comes back and has to help her break the hex. It's one of these really fun like missed chances, sort of second chance rediscovering your childhood love kind of stories. It was cute. I really liked the couple, and that was sort of the main thing. I don't think it's particularly a standout book in comparison to some of the others. I think the world building was a little bit flat, but it's a good, fun, light-hearted, easy read. So if you just, again, it's kind of fitting into that cozy paranormal romance idea, because it's, again, relatively small town kind of vibe. So if you're just looking for something that's a little bit kind of cute, sweet, and happens to have a bit of magic on the side, I think this one's worth it for you. And then the final book is Radiance, and this one is cool because the guy looks really weird. And I'm going to explain that a bit better. It's a high fantasy idea where it's 2 warring kingdoms who are basically making a political match between 2 of their rulers, and the woman is getting kind of married off as such for this alliance. But the guy side of things, he looks very alien and a bit freaky and a little bit bug-like, if I remember correctly, and it's about her kind of overcoming that and seeing his heart underneath. But what's really nice is it's a dual perspective, and he is equally as disgusted by the human form as she is by his buggy form, and it's really fun getting them to, like, over the book you read their kind of disgust of each other, and then slowly, as their sort of mutual respect and then attraction grows, they learn to really appreciate each other's bodies, despite the fact that they're not what they are conventionally used to being, like, culturally aesthetically pleasing. And it was just nice to read a book where the immediate default from the from either side wasn't just, oh my god, they're really fit, because as much as instant attraction is like a hallmark of romance, like, even when they don't like each other, they always find each other hot at the beginning. So it was really nice to just have a bit of a playful twist on that and be like, no, these two people think each other is really weird and gross. And find it, if I remember correctly, the aliens particularly freaked out by the way human eyes work and the fact that you got the whites around the eyes and you can, like, look where you are, which is a distinctly human thing and not something you particularly find in the animal kingdom. And I just really enjoyed that little quirk, because she, like, crosses her eyes at one point and he nearly throws up, and I thought it was just adorable. The overarching plot is good fun. There's, like, political intrigue, classic high fantasy kind of stuff. It is part of a series, maybe even a trilogy. I haven't continued reading because I think they stick with the same couple, and I'm kind of here for the beginning part of the relationship. I'm not that bothered about continuing through. But the first book, really cute, really entertaining. So those were a load of paranormal romance. It's a genre that I dabble in. I don't read that much in comparison to stuff that's out there, and I haven't done a lot of the big names that I know are out there. But if you've read any of these, let me know your thoughts down below. If you're interested by any of these, let me know which ones you think you might pick up. And like I said, most of these are available either on Kindle Unlimited or for hella cheap on Kindle in general. So at least they're not going to break your bank if you don't like them. Have a wonderful reading week, and I will chat to you soon. Bye!